How much do we actually know about the brain and its potential? We have gained an incredible amount of knowledge over the years, yet there is still so much that remains a mystery. We have brain areas that connect to everything, cortically and subcortically, that we are still learning to understand. But when we talk about the brain, the most relevant question is, what does a healthy versus an unhealthy brain feel like? And how can we cultivate a life that helps our brain thrive? Everything we do and everything we are is defined by our brain. If you want to live a long, healthy, and energized life, you need to start paying attention to the signals your brain is sending you. Unfortunately, our modern culture is not conducive to brain health. Many people have started to treat stress, anxiety, and exhaustion as a badge of honor. We live in a society where, when asked how we are doing, we habitually reply that we are so stressed or just surviving. This mindset is not just problematic for our mood, it is physiologically damaging. Chronic stress triggers the release of cortisol, a hormone that, when elevated over long periods, crosses the blood-brain barrier and begins to damage key brain areas. Two areas are particularly vulnerable: the hippocampus, which is critical for memory function, and the prefrontal cortex, which is essential for decision-making and focus. When you stay in a state of chronic stress, you are literally damaging the very parts of your brain that you need to be successful and present. The good news is that we have the power to change this. The first step is awareness. Most of us are in denial about our stress levels until we reach a breaking point. You need to identify your personal cues. For some, stress manifests in the mind as racing thoughts. For others, it stays in the body, perhaps as tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, or a feeling of heaviness. Once you start noticing these signals, you have the opportunity to take control. So, how do we turn the volume down on that stress response? The most effective tools are actually the simplest ones. The first is deep breathing. Physiologically, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the direct opposite of the fight or flight stress response. While you cannot consciously control your heart rate or where blood rushes in your body, you can control the rhythm of your breath. By slowing your breathing down, inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for more than 4 counts, you are sending a physical signal to your brain that it is time to calm down. Box breathing, where you inhale, hold, exhale, and hold for equal counts, is another powerful technique. The second tool is physical movement. Even 10 minutes of walking, whether outside, up and down stairs, or just moving around a room, has been shown to lower anxiety levels significantly. It is one of the fastest ways to flush out the physiological tension that builds up during the day. However, these tools are only effective if you practice them before you are in a crisis. Just like a fire drill prepares you for an emergency, you need to build these routines when you are calm. If you wait until you are fully overwhelmed to try deep breathing, it will be much harder to execute. Create a daily ritual. Start by finding a gap between waking up and checking your phone. Many of us jump straight from 0 to 100 miles per hour by checking emails and notifications the moment we open our eyes. This forces the brain to process noise immediately, which is a recipe for anxiety. Instead, allow your brain a period of quiet. Whether it is a meditation practice, a few minutes of breathing, or a short workout, protecting that morning window rewires how your brain approaches the rest of the day. I know what you might be thinking. This sounds hard. And you are right. It is. Everything that is good for you often feels difficult at first, because you are essentially building a new path in a forest that has no trail. When you focus, learn, or build a new habit, you are physically creating new connections between neurons. That process, which scientists call a metabolic load, is literally exhausting. It should hurt a little bit. It should feel like an effort. But that is the cost of growth. If you feel overwhelmed by the need to change, just remember the principle of one beat at a time. Don't worry about building a perfect life overnight. Focus on just one deep breath. Focus on just one walk. If you start small and stay consistent, those new pathways in your brain will become stronger, clearer, and easier to traverse. You don't need to be a monk to achieve this, you just need to be intentional. You are the architect of your own cognitive health, and every small deliberate action you take is an investment in a sharper, calmer, and more energized version of yourself. Have a nice day.